Welcome to Get Real with Brian Stuckey, an all-new program to get you real information about how real estate affects you, your family, and your community. Brought to you in part by Bankers Network Corporation. And now, Brian Stuckey.
Good evening. Welcome to Get Real. I'm Brian Stuckey, and I've got, if not anything, a great, mature, experienced group of people on the program tonight. I'm just going to start out with Corrine Raffanti. She's with Intero Real Estate. She's a real estate agent there. She's going to give us an update what's going on in the real estate market. I think you'd be excited to hear about it. And next I have John Byler, first-time guest. He's going to be talking about 203K loans. It's an FHA loan that if you're interested in buying a distressed home, you're going to want to hear about this, and it's going to give you 100 and something plus financing for it. We're going to find out about that. Then I've got Sam Piraro. He is the head baseball coach at San Jose State University. We're going to talk about the upcoming season. Last year they were the WAC champions. We're going to see if they can repeat this year. Sam will be with us. And then finally, Bill Hughes. He's an industrial artist. He's been doing it for about 35 years. You're going to see some of the sculptings with a marine emphasis to it. So we're looking forward to it. But first, the property page segment, Corrine Raffanti. My guest is Corrine Raffanti. We've been classmates since, in the 70s, let's just say that. And Corinne's coming on for the second time. Corinne, thanks for coming on. I know that a lot of people are wondering what's going on in the real estate market. Is this still a good time to go ahead and enter in to buy a property or not? So what are you seeing out there?
Oh, I think it's an excellent time for sure. In fact, I'm finding that a lot of buyers are sharing that feeling right now. It is a great time. Interest rates are historically low still. And our first-time home buyers credit of $8,000 or up to $8,000 was extended through April 30th. So that is also a big reason that we're finding a lot of home buyers entering the marketplace. Mm-hmm. And we're actually in the $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 range experiencing a real decline in inventory. Mm-hmm. So that's been an interest. So we're actually in multiple offers on many homes in that price range. Okay,
and that means quite a bit for people who are thinking about also listing their houses. That knowing that if there's multiple offers going on, that's usually an indication that their houses are going to appreciate.
It is. I mean, there is no doubt, just in looking at the stats over the last 6 months, I mean, continually the average price per square foot and the average sales price in our area has really gone up.
Okay.
It has.
What kind of inventory do we have? I mean, when you compare it to maybe last year, has it been reduced or has it increased from what we've seen, maybe from last year?
It's definitely reduced from last year. Certainly last year at this time, mm-hmm. It's reduced. We were at, what was it? I want to say 3,700. Now we're down to 2,500. I was particularly paying attention to the Willow Glen area, and I was watching that, and we were at 120 properties, total properties on the market about a week ago, a little over a week ago, and then I noticed happily that we were up to 135 as of, this is single family homes, this doesn't include townhomes, but single family homes.
Okay.
So I took that as a good thing, because I thought, well, good, maybe our inventory is starting to pick up a little bit, like it should be come spring. So.
Well, with the incentives that are going out, why don't you spell that out a little bit so people clearly understand what is that incentive all about that's been extended till April?
Well, it's the first-time home buyer's credit, which a lot of people have heard about, read about, tried to get in on. I know that the last part of the year, people were really moving forward in the market, hoping because they weren't sure if it was going to be extended or not. Okay. And fortunately, it was. So now you need to be in contract before April 30th. Okay. As a first-time home buyer or a home buyer that hasn't owned in 3 years.
Okay, that's the other thing too, mm-hmm. is that a lot of times people think, well, I already bought a home. But if it's been 3 years since you have, would that also include rental properties?
It's for homeowners. It is definitely for first-time home.
Not for investment properties.
No, okay. It isn't. Yeah.
All right. So what would you recommend to buyers who are interested? You mentioned, first of all, they got to get a hold of someone like yourself. And you got to find out what they qualify. Then they got to talk to a loan person like myself mm-hmm. and see what they can qualify for. What else would you recommend to them as far as going ahead and move forward on a purchase?
what a lot of buyers I'm finding have already done, and you've probably found the same thing, is they've already done some research. So by the time they've come to me, whether or not they've had the opportunity to see a lender, obviously that's my first suggestion, because otherwise they don't know what they can afford, you know. But once they've kind of have an idea of what they can afford, they start surfing the internet, they start looking at houses, they start kind of getting an idea of area. I've worked with a lot of people that have already done a lot of homework as far as driving around and kind of deciding where they think they might want to be. So, but those are all in other words, I feel like it's not going to happen right away for a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people, they start out, and it is a process. I think right now, though, a lot of people are feeling a little anxious because they don't want to miss out on either the first-time homebuyer credit and or these interest rates. So they're starting to feel a little pressure on, but at the same time, they want to make sure that they're making the right decision. All right. So we go through an education process.
Well, it's nice to have educated buyers as well who are swimming in the internet and everything else. Makes everybody's job easier. So
definitely.
We just have less than a minute, but what would you recommend to sellers at this point?
I would recommend to sellers to really contact their real estate professional and find out what their home is worth if they're thinking about selling, because I think for a lot of people out there, it's better than it was a year ago, for sure. And I know the headlines can be rather damaging, but we have our area, you know, things are looking good for us.
Thriving,
at this point, they are.
Okay. Corrine Raffanti has been my guest. She's with Intero Real Estate. She's a real estate agent there. If you have any questions for Corinne or any of my guests, please give me a call at 408-269-8366 or Brian at forbestloan.com. Next, coming up on the By the Numbers segment, I have John Byler. He'll be talking about 203Ks. We'll be right back. My guest is, well, my neighbor. I think we've known each other for pretty much all of our lives. I think I even had him on the handlebars of my bicycle, and he got his leg caught in the spokes one time. I mean, that's how far back we go. But John Byler's my guest. He's I actually never have loan planners on here, other loan consultants, but John's so excellent, I wanted to have him come on, and he's like a brother to me. So he's with American Financial Network. John, I want to find out, first of all, welcome as a first-time guest.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Let's talk about 203Ks.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people, I've heard about those, who really don't understand what they're all about. I can't even claim that I do because it's an FHA product. Okay. And the company I work with, we don't do FHA. So why don't you explain that a little bit, what a 203K is?
Well, thank you. 203K was basically put into the FHA rule book in 1978 to help remove some of the older properties, renovate some of the older properties in the national inventory of housing. It is a function that you can buy a house that is in disrepair, make whatever necessary repairs are needed, as well as updating kitchens, bathrooms, roof, paint, landscaping, whatever you want. Allows you to finance it based on the future value of the property.
Okay. Now, when you say it's in distress, now you mentioned paint and some of these other things. What if it's got a wall knocked out, you know, or there's some major damage in the bathroom? Does that qualify?
Absolutely. And what we're finding right now, a lot of the properties under $700,000 are a good amount are REO, or real estate owned or foreclosed properties. A lot of people are in distress. They're taking kitchens, complete kitchens, cabinets, appliances, furnaces, anything that they think is of value, selling it on the market. So as to come in and get financing on it traditionally, you cannot if there's any health or safety issues. So what it is it's taking a property in distress, could also be mold, water intrusion, fire damage, whatever, taking an asset from the seller at no cost to them and allowing a buyer to come in and really put the property together the way that they'd like to. Without a lot of money out of their pocket. 3.5% down, lower than normal FICO score, 620, which is a great number. So it's really simple for people.
Yeah. Now the thing that you always wonder about, typically in a situation like this, a lender is going to be very concerned about. Are they going to be concerned about if you have permits? You know, in the ultimate, when you say future value and that type of thing, are they concerned about, or are they going to be looking over your shoulder and saying, okay, you can do it this way, you can't do it that way?
It's a great, fair question. It comes up all the time. This is a great transaction for both buyer and seller. There is going to be a termite report required, first off. So any items that need to be done, water intrusion, infestation, bad roof, whatever it's going to be, those items have to be addressed and completed. The appraiser is going to go with that termite report, and then also a contractor's bid for what it's going to take to put the property into place. If it's something like a room addition, which is allowed, it will require permits. Anything that the city or the county jurisdiction needs to sign off on, that is a part of the requirement.
Okay. And then now you mentioned people can qualify. You mentioned 620 FICO score. What other things are going to be required for people to go ahead and provide in order to see if they're approved or not?
Okay. Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to sit down with your mortgage planner, have your credit run. You want to go through your income analysis. A lot of people, first-time buyers, might not be able to qualify on their own. The neat thing about this, FHA allows for a non-occupying co-borrower, could be family, etc. Also, they might not have a down payment, it can be a 100% gift. They may have a scratch and dent on their credit, that's okay. You know what? This is really designed to go ahead and make a yes out of a conventional loan where it would be a no due to the condition of the property.
Okay. Then how can they find these properties? Are these typically on MLS where people can find out where they're at, or how they go about it?
Yeah, Brian, I looked 2 weeks ago. There were 600 plus properties between 199 and 699 in the Santa Clara County. Surprisingly, over 25% of those had, fixer-upper, contractor special. Those items are out there. The properties are sitting for months at a time because of the condition. Contact your great agent, get them on the phone, and then call somebody like us.
All right. Well, and do you think that there's still a large inventory of people called right now and they say, hey, I want to find out about this, that there's plenty of them out there?
Yeah, there is. And I was, listening to an interesting comment before, which was everybody's doing multiple offers. A property in good condition is sometimes getting 15, 20, 30 offers on it. The funny part is a house in the same neighborhood is getting no offers whatsoever. Why not stop overbidding on a property and make those improvements to the property yourself right there, capture some of the equity, and get a nicer house.
Yep. Okay. John Byler has been my guest. He's with American Financial Network. If you have any questions on 203Ks, or if you have any questions for any of my guests, please get a hold of me at 408-269-8366 or Brian at 4bestloan.com. In the weekly spotlight, I have Sam Piraro, the head baseball coach of San Jose State, coming up right now. My guest is Sam Piraro. He's the head baseball coach at San Jose State University. He's been there for 23 years. In fact, he's been there even longer than that if you include as an assistant coach, where he in fact coached me when I was at San Jose State. Coach, it was a privilege being coached by you. Before we go any further, I do want to give you a little gift, and for two things: last year's WAC championship, and also Coach of the Year.
Thank you.
And that was given to me a girlfriend who I'd like to forget. So it's just like
that's kind of you. That's kind of you.
Only wore it once. But,
I'll keep it. Thank you very much.
But Sam, seriously, congratulations on last year's team. Let's talk about that just for a moment. Were you surprised at all that you guys competed that well?
Not really, Brian. That team was a very experienced team. We had 13 seniors on there, and our pitching staff was senior laden. I would have really had to screw that up for us not to do well. I mean, that was a team that should have done well, and they did. So they deserve the credit. Like I said, my job was not to screw that up, but it was great time coaching them. We had 7 guys sign off that team professionally, so real proud of that group.
Yep, and with that too, you've got quite a task ahead of you to go ahead and replace those people, especially like you had 3 pitchers, I think, that signed. Is that correct, or even more?
We had 5 pitchers signed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
stand corrected.
And 2 were juniors, so we could have had them back. But
okay.
Nevertheless, as you know, pitching is very, very important. It's like not having a quarterback on your football team. So we have a lot of freshmen and sophomores that are on the mound. So it's a good news, bad news. Good news is, in a year from now, we think they're going to be very, very good because they have good arms, they have talent, but they lack experience at the Division I level. My job and my pitching coach's job is to try to get them to mature at a fast rate and try to convince them that if they're a freshman, think like a sophomore. If they're a sophomore, think like a junior. So there again, coaching in a situation like this, that's what we're paid to do, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and since they went ahead and signed it, as a letter of intent, they pretty much come in the program at that point, don't they? From the standpoint that you're watching what they're doing and you're trying to incorporate what your philosophy, how you guys go about your program. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of projection involved. You look at a guy and he might be 5'11" at the time. His mom and dad are of good size, or his siblings are of good size, and hey, maybe by their junior year he's going to be 6'2". So we have to do a lot of that, and then we use the fall to teach our philosophy and try to get them to our way of thinking, so they can develop standards which are commensurate with Division I baseball.
Okay. At the time of this taping, you just got through, playing the alumni, which is loaded with professionals, and you beat them. And I know that these guys are a little out of shape as far as the alumni team, but they wanted to win that game very much so. So that's got to be a positive thing when you're going in. You beat the alumni.
Well, the alumni, that's a tricky game to play. I mean, I remember your senior year, you hit a home run in the alumni game, as I recall, and we won that game 11-1.
You say stuff like that.
Well,
you
were a good player, so I don't want to embarrass you, but you were a very good player.
Thank you.
We coached that team that we played against. All are playing pro ball right now, so that was good for us. Our pitchers got to see professional hitters, and our hitters got to see guys that are playing professional baseball. But we practice every day. They don't. So we should win that game. I wasn't looking at the score so much as how we handled it, that we didn't get distracted by an alumni game, because they're having a great time over there. The alums are having a super time. I'm trying to keep them structured in our regimen of how we do things. Our guys did a great job with that.
Yeah, still they're not over there drinking beer though. They want to school these guys, and there's no doubt about it. So anyway, I just want to say it was very impressive.
Thank you.
And I'm glad. It's a great way to kick things off. Now, speaking of kicking things off, now you got the real games coming ahead. Looking to this season, how do you look at your team? You mentioned they're young and everything else, but is there any guys in particular that we should be looking for?
Yeah, we have some returning guys that I think are very exciting players. Guys that have been in our program 3-4 years. Corey Valine, our third baseman, has been a 4-year starter. One of the best hitters, in the WAC conference. Kind of a bad body guy. If you looked at him, you'd say, gee, what's he doing playing baseball? But he is a tremendous offensive player. Jason Martin, 3-year starter for us in the outfield. Danny Steenstra, 3-year starter at first. One of the guys who I think everybody should look after is Zach Jones from
Santa Teresa.
Santa Teresa High School. Zach was a tremendous player. He made all county. He was the player of the year, and he's unique, Brian, because he can pitch, he can hit, he can play shortstop, he can do everything. So I'm trying to figure a way out to make it work for him.
It does sound like a Kyle Bellows. They even came from the same high school. And that Kyle Bellows, that's always an intriguing thing, what you're going to do as a coach. This kid can pitch and he can play shortstop or whatever. And what are you going to do? Another one is Tyler Christian.
Yes.
So here he is, an accomplished pitcher and a player as well. So how do you come up with those decisions?
Well, in Tyler's case, he's a legitimate offensive player, and he can develop into a great third baseman over time. Jones is an enigma because he literally can probably pitch and swing the bat and field the ball. I'm going to start him off as our closer and then incorporating him in the infield and DH. And I'm learning that DH rule right now because it's very difficult to understand. But just keep your eye on this guy because he's a heck of a player, Zach Jones.
Let's look at the schedule right now and see what you've got coming up. We've got a schedule here. Sam, we can hardly even see it that well, but it's I can see it, the alumni game there at the beginning. Then you have, what is that, St. Mary's?
We open up with St. Mary's this weekend, and then I believe we play University of California, Santa Barbara the following weekend. Santa Barbara, we have a tournament in 3 weeks. So, very competitive schedule.
You see Santa Barbara and Santa Clara, and that's the one thing about these series is that you need quality pitching. You've got 3 games right in a row.
Yeah.
There's no hiding. I mean, you've either got it or you don't.
Well, and you're on pitch counts at this time of the year. So, you're going to use a lot of guys. And so that's why you got to make sure you're 8 to 10 deep when you go into a 3-game series. Later in the year, we can maybe get by with 6. But right now, we need 8 to 10 guys that can step up for us.
Okay. And you guys, one thing is that they play at Municipal Stadium, which is a beautiful stadium. Tickets, I know you can get season tickets for $100, is that correct?
Yes, for a full season ticket for $100, it comes out to you know, about $3 a game. So it's a great value.
Okay. I want to encourage you to get out there. It's great. San Jose State every year fields a great team, and Coach Sam Piraro always puts it together one way or another. And so I want to encourage you to get out there to Municipal Stadium and watch the San Jose State Spartans. I want to thank Sam Piraro for being my guest. Next I have Bill Hughes. He's an industrial artist, and he's in our lifestyle segment. I'll be right back. My guest is a longtime friend. As I mentioned, everybody here on this show tonight has got quite a bit of experience. I think Bill's got the most. He's 35 years. He's been an industrial artist. I had the opportunity. This year for me is the year of the field trip. And so I decided that I'm going to see a lot of California, everything else. And I've known Bill has been a sculptor for many, many years. And so I went over and saw his work, and I was very impressed, Bill. And Marty's bringing in Marty Sharp. You'll see him next show. And so I was really impressed with your work. First of all, this thing's really heavy, so you need a guy as strong as Marty to bring it in. But first of all, why did you get into more of the marine type of work?
First, let me say thank you for inviting me on, Brian. It's
you're
quite a
welcome.
privilege.
Absolutely.
Marine mammals have always been, the ocean and marine life has always intrigued me. It's just such a vast array of life forms that most of which look like they're from another solar system.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know you're serious about it too, because when I came to your home, you had two ancient boats, you know, just there that are just, it's almost like a museum being around your house. But these boats, one was a fishing boat from the
1934. It's
34?
a Monterey double-ender. I acquired that from Moss Landing.
And what about the other one that was actually in the war?
1945, yeah. They were converted for salmon fishing.
Okay.
And they are part of the decorative theme of my storage park. I store boats and RVs on my property as well as doing the sculpture, so that kind of serves as my day job.
Okay. Well, so why don't you explain this piece here? And what is this a sperm whale?
This is a fin whale,
Okay.
and it's a limited edition bronze. Essentially, the industrial casting process is called the lost wax casting process, and it's quite involved. Several steps in the process, but when it's completed, the bronze sculpture endures through the centuries, and that's the reason for that, choosing that medium.
Okay. And then we're going to keep you working, Marty. Why don't you go ahead and get the other one too, if you don't mind. Hurry up. Just kidding. But but we've got another one coming up here, and just got to ask you, how long does it take to put something like this together?
It's quite a timely process, a lot of research as far as the anatomy of the whales, and then the carving of the original model can take 2 or 3 months, and then it goes from the model to a mold stage, from the mold to a wax stage, from the wax to invested in a ceramic shell material that's put in a furnace, the wax is burned out, and then the molten bronze is poured back in.
All right.
This theme has always intrigued me since I was a little boy and looked through a Time Life series, The World We Live In, and saw the sperm whale capturing a deep water squid. And so as a little boy, I got inspired by the concept, let alone the reality that this goes on a daily basis.
Yeah, you know, as kids too, I always feel sorry for the squid, you know, and that, but this is a natural thing, you know.
Oh yeah, the food chain. The
food
sperm
chain.
whale doesn't always win. Some of these larger, this is Archaeoteuthis, some of these can get up to 60 to 80 feet in length, and they live at about 1 mile to 2 miles down.
Well, this
So-
seems rather complex because you've actually got two pieces that you actually have to
Right.
combine to one. Is that correct?
Yeah, of course, obviously the sperm whale has grasped the one larger one, but there's a smaller one escaping away around this rock coral formation. Little creative artistic license in presenting this.
Then how many would you make, let's say, of this? Because you know, when I saw in your studio, I asked you to bring this piece because I'm just going like, wow, this is busy, but it's very intriguing and everything else. And what if somebody saw this and they wanted the same thing?
There's an edition of 10 of these, so
So
it's
you do 10 of
limited to
these.
10 pieces reproduced.
All right, so Marty's going to go ahead and bring out another one.
This is a good workout.
You're doing a good job, Marty.
Beautiful.
I'm going to have you come on next week.
Gotta bend the knees.
Thank you. Bend the knees. Okay.
Again, another type of deep water squid. These squid fascinate me just from a conceptual standpoint, let alone that this animal really exists. Their life size is about 2 to 3 feet in length, and as you can see, there's a web membrane between the tentacles. So as they seize their prey with the 2 longer tentacles, and they envelop it within this casing and trap it so it can't escape.
All right. Well, you've got to do some research on it in order for it to be authentic. You know,
Right.
so imagine, that I don't know if you spend a lot of time at Monterey Bay Aquarium looking at these
Interestingly
things.
enough, I did, Brian. Back in the late 80s, they contracted me when they were designing the aquarium. They had a design studio, and I was subcontracted to come in and replicate scale miniatures of whales for the Marine Mammal Hall. And while I was there, I had opportunity to some of the resources at the Marine Hopkins Library. And Carl Chun produced a series of drawings of these deep water squid back from the late 1800s. They'd actually troll for them and hook them and bring them on board, and artists would render them. And so they were very anatomically detailed drawings, and that's where this one came from.
All right. Well, Bill, I want to thank you for coming on the program. And once again, Bill Hughes, he's an industrial artist. And if you have any questions to any of my guests, please get a hold of me once again at 408-269-8366 or Brian at 4bestloan.com. I want to thank my guests. Well, before I do that, I'll come right back with our final thoughts. I simply want to thank my guest, Corrine Raffanti with Intero Real Estate Services, for being my guest on the property page. By the numbers, John Byler with American Financial Network, Sam Piraro, the head baseball coach at San Jose State University. Go watch the Spartans, go Spartans. And Bill Hughes, an industrial artist. Thank you for your work here, Bill. I want to ask you to join me next week where I got Matt Sesterik. He's it was Stevenson and Neal Realtors. Robert Ballapool with Ballapool Investment Management Corp. Madison Wynn, council member, District 7. And then Marty Sharp, the gentleman that you saw just a little bit ago, health and fitness guru. We'll see you next week on Get Real. Good night.